There it is. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, guys? Sorry about that. I'm trying to figure it out. Like, I'm checking like my computer settings. I thought it was wrong because I had the audio input settings changed because I was testing out uh, streaming from my phone the other day, the day before or something, and so I forgot to change the input settings back for this microphone. And then it still was, you guys were saying there's still no audio. You can hear me now, right? What the fuck? Are you still not able to hear me? I'm gonna check this. Well, I'm seeing myself live. It's weird. And why is there still no audio? What the fuck? Well, I'm seeing myself live. It's weird. You can hear me now. God dang. You all should have kept it up in the chat, kept saying no audio, and I would have been just totally freaking out. But as I was saying, you guys couldn't hear me. Was that it would have been funny. It would have been a good April Fool's joke. You can hear me now. Stop telling me to restart. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Mixed Bag is telling you guys on YouTube. Yeah. I mean, maybe refresh your YouTube or something. Should be working fine now. Anyway, that would have been a good April Fool's Day joke video to do an entire live stream and just like pretend to not realize that the audio wasn't working the whole time. Do like a 1 hour live stream and just totally not realize that at all. Or yeah, pretend to. That's just an April Fool's joke. But anyway, did you guys enjoy yesterday's April Fool's video? As it was, I'm hoping that you all realized that it was April Fool's video, but reading through the comments and everything, quite a lot of people didn't realize it's April Fool's video. And I kind of feel bad because I know like in some parts of the world, you know, April Fool's is not a thing. So they might not know what that is. I figure like even if you live in a part of the world where it's not a thing, if you spend enough time on the internet, you surely like have learned about it because, you know, a lot of people in America and content creators and stuff from America, of course, play into it. So, yeah. So it was just for fun. It's fun April Fool's video yesterday, and it was fun to make, and especially fun just reading all the comments on that. So, and there's been quite a lot. The video is actually doing super well, better than I expected. But you know, kind of makes sense if you're like claiming to have some big amazing news in the video. Of course, people are going to want to see that. But I mean, come on, it's April 1st. You gotta know that, right? Yes. So no Silver Bullet, no MG Atlas. Sorry, that's all that was fake. Yes, of course. You can tell. I mean, like, you should be able to tell based on the pictures. But I know that like some people, if you're a little bit newer to the hobby, if you haven't been around in the hobby for very long, you may not have that experience built up, kind of being able to recognize what Bandai's like official promo images look like. Like if you look at the pictures that I used, like pictures of the Silver Bullet, like were from an expo. Like the pictures of the Exia were just like the prototype images, like official prototype images. So like it would, if there was some expo on, like all of the pictures would have been from the expo, or all of the pictures would have been prototype images, something like that. They were such as totally mixed of just random stuff, and like the G Self images were pictures of the HG kit, and the Exia, the Master Grade Exia 2.0 pictures were from those are pictures of the RG prototype, etc., etc. The Silver Bullet, those are pictures of the HG. The Atlas as well, that was also a picture of the HG. So yeah, if you've got experience, you know, for a while, and you're used to kind of what Bandai's official images look like, or what like images look like from different events. Also, there was no expo or anything on recently in Japan, any hobby show or anything, so wouldn't have been any of those either. So anyway, yeah, I understand why some people would believe that, because I mean, I think I probably told it in a pretty believable way as well too. The way I went about it, that was the point. I tried to make it very believable. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Anyway, so let's get on with the topic for today. Yes, and yes, Fishy Wishy, I did see about the Advance of Zeta Barzam. Yes, that is cool. I'm looking forward to that. That's some actual news that was announced. Was it announced yesterday or the day before yesterday? I think that was announced like late in like the evening of the 31st. Actually, if I remember correctly, I think that was announced before the 1st. Slightly. Maybe they did that on purpose. But I kind of doubt it. I don't think Benda really cares or would pay much attention to April Fool's Day. Josh said it would have been more believable if you had the MG Dom Rick Dom Revive Interframe coming out this summer. I mean, yeah, a couple people suggested that in the comments, and I thought about doing that, like mixing in some actual announcement stuff and then some fake stuff, but no, I just wanted to just do it all fake so that people wouldn't be confused. But obviously, people are still quite confused about that, so I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about some builds that we're going to be looking at here today. So let me get these opened up. Let's see. John, are you here? I believe, John, I saw you in the chat a little bit earlier. Just want to make sure. Try to do them for the guys as they're here. And we'll look at John's first, assuming John's here. If John's not here, then maybe we'll do a different one first. I think John's here. But again, just for this series of videos, Gunpla critique videos, I do them, try to do them every like once a month, and they're for my Patreon supporters. So if you're interested in submitting stuff for any future episodes, just check out my Patreon. The link is down below. And let's see, John's not answering in the chat, so I was trying to get delay for a minute to see if he's here, but that's okay. Let's just go ahead and do this then. Let me throw this up on the screen for you guys. Here we go. So let me read this email. So he said it's a master grade Gym Sniper 2 White Dingo for a local group build. First attempt at doing camo. There. At first I was like, oh, where's the camo? There is a little bit of the hex camo on there, just a little bit. It's not a whole lot. You can see a little bit up on the shoulder there. And yeah, John, now that I think about it, I remember we saw the work in progress on this in the last episode, didn't we? I remember we were talking about these guys here. Yeah. Now that I think about it, I do remember that we saw work in progress on this earlier. Yeah, and he was working on the plot plating bits and stuff on it. Okay, so let me see, what else did he say? Used the first attempt doing camo, second attempt doing any scribing and custom plot plate work. Used a mix of Gaia Notes and Mr. Color, and Kotobukiya weapon sets, and custom resin weapon from Simpro. I believe that would be, which one's the Simpro weapon? I don't think it's, oh, maybe this one. Yeah. The 180 millimeter cannon. That one there. That's the resin weapon. Let's see. It was a rush job, and I can see the imperfections, but I learned a lot going on the way. Not sure if I'll come back and do much plot play in the future. I want to focus on getting good paint job. And take more time getting details like panel lining and water slides right and stuff like that. Okay, so yeah, he's thinking that he may step away in the next few builds from doing anything with like plot play and things like that, and just kind of focus on like the basics, panel lining, water slides, and getting your paint good. Okay. That's I mean, it's a good philosophy. I totally support that. You know, making sure your basics are all good, you know, and you can always, I talked about this recently in the video talking about that you don't have to like push yourself on every build, always, you know, trying to do every build at like the max of your current abilities, or even trying to push your current abilities. Take a few builds, just kind of step back and just do kind of what you're more comfortable with, just for fun, and just for the enjoyment of it, or just what you really like to do. Like I talked about in that video, for myself, I personally just like painting and just like building and doing a few like custom little modifications. That's kind of like my very happy level of building. But do want to try new stuff and try to push myself every now and then. But so anyway, yeah, the White Dingo. So you can see there are some custom panel lines on that. As far as like the camo goes, it looks fine. You didn't do a ton of it. I'm assuming you used masking tape for that, like that. What's it called? It's like pre-cut camo masking tape. So I mean, it's pretty simple. Basically, you just kind of lay it on there, and it looks pretty good because it's a very angular design. So pretty easy to lay masking tape on that. When you start to have like some trouble, especially with shapes like this that are straight shapes, like if it was like normal camo where it's like kind of blobby, kind of rounded shapes, then it wouldn't really matter. But for these hexagons, with them being kind of angular shapes, if you're trying to lay those on like a curved pattern, on like a curved part, then you might run into some trouble trying to wrap the masking tape around the curve. It might kind of warp the straight lines a little bit, if you get what I mean. It's kind of difficult. If you've ever tried to mask like a straight line across a curved part, it's kind of tricky. You have to you can't just lay the tape on there straight, because then it'll be like actually kind of warped, your straight line. So yeah, it's kind of tricky to do. If you guys saw my the HD Messer that I painted, that one, I had like a bar, like a white bar painted across the shoulder armor, which is just this big curved part. So it's kind of tricky to get that to be a straight line across that entire part. I had to, it like looks like a straight line, so it would be just like one piece of tape at the top, one piece of tape at the bottom, and then you just paint the middle section. But it was actually 3 pieces to get it to be looking straight. So anyway, on this kit, there's like not really any curved areas. So laying masking tape to make like a camo pattern or any kind of stripe pattern or anything on a kit like this, for example, if you wanted to make stripes or whatever, would be easier than if there was a curved surface. So I mean, the camo looks fine, and I think it's a good amount of camo for this, because it looks more like not like it's necessarily meant to look like camouflage, but just kind of like a design pattern in the paint, and it looks cool. Just being a little bit any more of it, and I think it would be a little bit too much, but I like that it's just kind of there as like a nice kind of accent point to the paint scheme. I like it just a little bit, but it's kind of all you need to, because without that, it may just look like a pretty standard paint scheme. I don't want to say boring, but like a little bit standard, boring sort of, if you get what I mean. Not in a negative way, but adding that little bit of hex pattern is nice. It's a nice little accent, yeah. And that's just like paint in general looks fine as far as I can tell. I'm not seeing anything like, even on these close-up images, I'm not seeing any defects or anything like in the paint really, so I think that looks fine. The scribing, as far as I can tell too, overall looks pretty good. I think there's a couple that look like not super perfect, but it looks pretty fine as far as I can tell. For the most part, I can see like this is all scribed. Not like just the technical application of the scribing, but just like from like a design theory point, I maybe would have had these lines, because you can see like here, this angle, that kind of lightning bolt angle, if that was turned so that the vertical lines of that were kind of parallel to the skirt, what I mean? I think it would have looked nicer. So like if it's coming down like here and then goes sideways and then straight down along with the kind of parallel sides of that front skirt armor, I think that would have probably looked nicer. So that's just a design thing. I remember we saw this in like the last work in progress, those gray bars on like the top of the and on the back of here. I was unsure about how those were going to look, because as we saw in the work in progress, they looked kind of very thick and like just like too big on there. I was seeing on the finished build, I think they look fine as basically just kind of like kind of, I don't know what you would call it, bumper armor, sort of, anyway, armor to just kind of protect those from just crashing into stuff, right? Just having a kind of strip of armor on there. I don't know if you guys have this in where you live in the world, but in Korea, a lot of people have this on their car, where like on the very like edge of the car door, a lot of people put like little sticker, like little sticker pad, little bumper on like the edge of the car door. So like when you open the door, if you're like in a close parking spot or something, when you open your door, if your car door hits another car, you've got like a little bumper pad there. I don't know if I've ever really seen those very much in America. I don't think people have them, but in Korea, a lot of people have them on their car door, so you can see like these little kind of what would you call these, like little cushion stickers, things like stuck on the edge of people's car doors sometimes. You guys have those? If you're also wherever you live in the world. Anyway, it reminds me of that. It's just to act as a bumper there so they don't bump into anything. There's John in the chat, I see, and he said he redid those. So okay, so maybe made them a little bit smaller. Anyway, more defined. I don't think when we saw them in the last work in progress video, I don't think they had the did they have the like grooves in there? Maybe they did, but they were like larger grooves, I think, at that time when we saw it. And let me see. Yeah, I can see. Let me see if there's a better picture for us to see here on the back of the leg. Like it looks like the paint along the masking here on like the back of the leg. It's like one very minor spot where the masking, the paint bled a little bit there or something, it looks like. And I don't remember on that kit, but I'm pretty sure that's not an added paint line that John added. I think that's just a normal detail of that kit, and he just masked that to paint a different color. The blue, metallic blue for the thruster bells looks pretty nice as well too. As you guys know, that's usually not to my taste. I don't usually go in for that stuff personally, metallic and the thruster bells and stuff like that, but it looks nice and matches with the blue, of course. The one thing I would say as far as the colors go, John, I think this the dark gray of the frame I like, but the dark gray on the parts of the armor I wish was a little bit lighter, because you have this really bright white and bright blue, and the gray is very dark for the contrast. So if this was a little bit lighter gray, I think that would have been nice for like here up on the visor, and like these kind of notches on the front of the shoulder and on the front of the side skirt, and these side skirt bits as well too. And where was the other one that I was thinking? Maybe that was all. Anyway, those bits that are kind of it's kind of hard for stuff like that when you're thinking like those parts that are kind of like part of the frame, sort of, they're not armor, but they're like part of the frame, but they're not part of the inner frame. They're like kind of part of the armor. So you kind of have to wonder if those would be the same color as the inner frame or a different color. If you're painting your inner frame basically all one color, and those parts which are kind of frame parts, mechanical parts anyway, they should be the same color, you think, but it's just kind of a decision you have to make at that time, whether you want to actually paint them in the same color or not. So I think a couple of these darker parts on the outside, if they were a little bit lighter, would have been nice, but otherwise I think the colors look fine. And it's kind of hard to tell. Like this hexagon, like the masking of that looks like that's like that paint also, maybe. It's not totally filled in the mask there, like the little bit of blue. But it's kind of hard to tell based on the pictures. I think it looks good. This is a cool base too as well. I've always wanted to get one of these myself. It's if you guys are unfamiliar, this is like a photo etch set that you can get that basically adds these kind of guards and railings here around just an action base, and also gives you these like kind of little circle cover bits. just a set of photo etch parts that you can get for that. It looks really cool. I always wanted to get one myself. I'll have to try to get my hands on one if I can. That's a cool set. Yeah, looks nice. Makes for a good base for this kit as well too. And the Sim Pro weapon looks really cool. That's nice. Good, good. Let me see. What did you say in the chat there, John? Yeah, went down smaller and then describing beforehand. Okay, for the parts on the missiles. Okay. Yeah, I tried to fix the bias multiple times, but gave up. Training the lines good. And yes, I did way too much grays. Yeah. I mean, it's not that much. I was talking about with the darker grays, but yeah, this lighter, this like two-tone white, this kind of off-white that you used there. I think yeah, that would have been nice for like a couple of these parts. Oh, okay, there you go. For like these parts on the side skirt and the front skirt, if those were in that same off-white color used for the legs, yeah, it would have been nice. Yeah, that's a good point. I agree. And on the shoulders, yeah, I don't know. Lighter gray or off-white. Either way, but as is, it's not that much. It's just a couple of those dark points. I think if they were lighter, could look nice, but yeah, it's not that big thing. Anyway, so it's very cool, and I think the missile pods worked out nice for those to be mounted on the back and then coming off the side like that. I think that was a good way to go for those. This mounting them on the back skirt there, that looks good. I like that. Yeah, and better than mounting them on like the sides of the backpack. I think that worked out really nice. Just mounted on the back skirt seems logical anyway. So it looks good. This came out nice. Yeah, it's a nice addition. Very cool. All right. Thank you, John. Very cool. Hello, Chris. What's going on, man? Nice job on that, John. Yeah, and I totally support you wanting to take a break from plot play and stuff for the next couple of builds and just work on, just focus on painting and all that. So yeah, go for it. Looking forward to seeing what you're working on in the next video. Well, I'm sure I'll see it before then around on the Discord, but until then, let's see. You're gonna look at germs next. And yes. Okay, let me get this open up here for you guys. There you go. Ooh. That resize. There we go. Actually, it's kind of in my way now. That's better. And because I want to read his email, he said, just submitting my Exia resin conversion work in progress. So this is using a resin conversion kit for the Exia dark matter, I believe, or the amazing Exia or Exia dark matter. I think they're basically kind of the same, but I think it's the Exia dark matter officially is this kit. Because what's the difference between the dark matter and the amazing Exia? Mostly it's just the color, right? I think there's a little bit difference in the build as well too. But anyway, so it's the resin conversion kits, and we're in progress, but I figure I'll just try include a picture of the Lancelot mech from Code Geass, which was the inspiration for the color scheme. So yeah, this was the inspiration for the color scheme, which looks nice. And here, so he added a lot. Germ, are you here in the chat? Yes or net? Maybe not. But just looking at this, I'm not sure. Oh, maybe this kind of bit under the chest there is in the kind of like light bluish color. Anyway, it looks like, as far as I can tell, not a lot of like a light bluish, purplish kind of color like what he's added here. But I do like that color. So you can see there. Okay, the colors do look nice for this kit. It's not a color scheme I think that I would have chose, but it works out really well. It works really nicely. It's just it's a good amount of gold on there without too much gold. The color balance is really nice out of the colors. So I think that's good. Good choices on placement of the colors and everything. The little bits of gold look nice without it being too much overbearing. Just some nice gold accents, and the same thing with the blue as well too. Oh, I just noticed the hands are blue too. I like that. That's nice. Very unique, different. I like to see that. Blue hands, that's cool. So yeah, does it have that? I mean, sort of. Maybe I have to look at some other reference images. Maybe there's, because basically to me it looks like this is basically kind of the inner frame, and the hands are kind of, they do look slightly different in color, but I would have just thought they're just kind of basically the same color. But maybe in other images you can see it better, that it does actually have more of that blue color in there, and for the hands as well too. But let's see, what are you talking about, Chris? The backpack is slightly different than the VFin also. Oh, between the Amazing Exia and the Exia Dark Matter. Okay, yeah. I thought I remember there being a little bit different, a couple of different parts in the actual design, aside from it just being a recolor. So anyway, yeah, I believe this resin conversion kit was to make Exia Dark Matter, but it looks really nice. So yeah, I wonder what that gold is, and it's a shame I don't think Jeremy is here in the chat to answer what gold that is. But Jeremy, when you watch this later, let me know what gold color that was. I'm just interested to know. It looks nice. I'm guessing it's a Gaia Notes gold color. It looks like Star Bright brass or something. Maybe. Yeah. Doesn't look like Mr. Color Gold, I don't think. It looks like it's probably a Gaia color. Anyway, it looks really nice, especially there on the legs. That's really nice. So I'm not sure about how separated these parts are, but I'm pretty certain that probably had to do some masking on these knee parts. But that looks really good. So I'm guessing like this is like the main knee section. That's all one piece, and this lower little triangle bit there, it looks like a separate piece. So some nice masking on there, and the pre-shading on the white looks really nice. Let's see, just another closer up image. But yeah, the pre-shading on the white, and you got the two-tone white, you got the white and the off-white accents there. Look very nice. That really bright green looks good as well too, and I like the addition of the bright green, rather than being kind of only limiting that to the GN drives, but also bringing that into like these bits here on the backpack, and we saw on like the front of the shoulders. So having some of that green and like some different areas as well too, like here on the front of the shoulders there. That looks nice. So it gets a kind of like look like other parts of the kit are also glowing as well with that bright green, aside from just the GN drives. So it's cool. Very nice, yeah, color choices and also color placement for that. Chris said there's an Amazing Exia version as well. Oh, okay. There's another. This is from that resin conversion set is from what was it? No, I was really drawing a blank on the name. The company that made the Sazabi resin conversion for the master grade as well too. Infinite Dimensions, right? I think it's an Infinite Dimension resin kit, I believe. I'm sure probably the same one, or basically the same one, was also put out by some other different company as well too, or something. But very nice. And the red for the eyes is nice, like that different color from the. If that would have been green as well too, it would have been kind of a lot of green accents. Or there is a lot of green accents, but I like that the eyes are different, a different color. It looks nice. Gives it a little bit more color in there. So yeah, very cool. There's not really too much else to say about it. Sorry, let me turn that off. There you go. But it looks very, very nice. I really like how that gold catches the light. Yeah, it's a nice gold. Makes for some really nice accents on there. Same designer as Infinite Dimension, disbanded. Ah, yes. Yujiao Land. Yes. Okay. Alexis in the chat, you said you have a question. Yes, Alexis, ask your question. I'll try to answer that. Is the clean weather challenge still going? Yes, that's going until May 1st. So you still have just under a month now at this point. So yeah, plan to do a weathered one, but I want to know if it has to be fully painted. Yes, it does have to be fully painted. All the rules you can see there, all the rules in text form are pinned on my Facebook page and also pinned on the USA Gundam store page on Facebook. Otherwise, I explain the rules very thoroughly in my video as well too. So just check out the rules on that. Anyway, Jeremy, really, really nice build here. I wanted to see a nice custom base for this. This base is just not doing justice to that build. So hopefully sort out a better base for that to yeah, be nicer. You have this really nice build. You need a nice base for that. So that means next we can take a look at James. I think I saw James in the chat. James, are you here? Are you there? Where's James' email? Hey, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Here we are. James. So as we've seen in the last couple episodes, James was working on like a Phoenix inspired like custom kit bash, but he hasn't been working on that. He's been working on something different, which we'll take a look at here. Share screen. Here we go. Oh, change your username. Muteki Fedora. Okay, what's the Muteki? Was that a reference to something? I'm assuming so. I'm not sure. Mars B said, really surprised UGLN hasn't made a conversion for the new since they made one for the Sosby. I guess they haven't made. I guess he hasn't made something for the new because they did an infinite dimension kit for the new. So to do kind of the same kit again, I think that would be my guess, but it's a pretty uninformed guess. So take that with a grain of salt. It's a Kamen Rider reference. Okay, that would be why I don't understand the reference. All right, so let's take a look. Let me just read your email here real quick, James. So he said, I've been working on the HG Seed Muramasa kits. It's an interesting kit. I've always, this is one of those kits, and I've talked about this many times. You guys have probably heard me talk about this, where there's a lot of HG Seed kits where it's a really cool design, and every time I see the kits in the store or something or online, if I just see the box art, I'm thinking, yeah, it looks like a cool design. I want to check that kit out. But then I have to remember to look at the pictures of what the actual kit looks like. And always, the actual kits always just look so not as good as the box art. That's how they get you with those HGC kits. The box art on a lot of them is really, really nice, but the actual kits, not so much. So anyway, this is one I've often thought about buying because the design is cool, but hopefully they'll make a newer version of it at some point, but probably not going to happen. Anyway, so seed kits is just going back to his email now. He says seed kits don't have great articulation, so I gave the elbows from the build strike and double elbow double joint bend from the build strike. So I think there was a picture of that, right? So you can see it's got the new elbow joints in there for better elbow articulation. Oh, here we go. Here's another picture of that. So I'm guessing this is the stock elbow, which just gives you a 90-degree bend there like that. Just a single joint, and this is the new joint. Looks good. Yeah, nice. I want to see what it looks like just straight, though, because a lot of times when you're adding the elbow joint, if you add a joint for a kit that had a single joint and then you add in a double joint one, what can happen is that unless you modify it the right way, the double joint is usually a little bit longer. So when you have the arm straight, it'll look weird because the elbow joint will be very long. It'll look longer than it's supposed to. So I'd be interested to see just to make sure what the elbow joint. It kind of looks like this is it here, and it doesn't look that bad. It looks a little bit long. Like if you could modify that a little bit for the bicep armor and the forearm armor to be a little bit closer together. It's kind of tricky to do. The problem is once they're too close together, then you can't. It's harder to. You get this basically. You can't bend the arm anymore because the forearm armor and the bicep armor are clashing into each other. That's the problem. So that's why modifying the elbow joints like that sometimes would take a little bit more work than you might imagine. You need to put a new joint in there so that you can get a double joint, but also have it be still, the part's still close enough that it looks natural. But then you kind of have to make it so that the arm bends in a way so that the armor pieces can kind of move around each other so you can still get a full bend. So like a good example would be like the unicorn design. Because of the design of the unicorn's armor, it has like these big pieces of armor like right at the top of the forearms. So like a lot of times when you just try to bend the arm, you can only get like a really small bend out of it. You kind of have to bend the top joint first and then bend the lower joint like that, if you get what I mean, in order to kind of get a full bend out of it, just because the pieces want to run into each other. So it's kind of tricky just because of the armor design. Anyway, so it looks good. Just want to make sure that you don't have too much of a gap there. It could look a little bit unnatural. And then he said also, the original hips are ball joints, which very limit the range. So I use hip joints from the Strike Freedom Revive, as well as the thigh armor. So the hip joints and the thigh armor are taken from the Strike Freedom Revive kit, which I'm guessing maybe is then this one, because it would have that plug there. But this thigh armor looks the same, or just trying to think, maybe this one is, yes, because that's the gold part there. Yes, but this is not a ball joint. Oh, that's the other side of the leg. That's for the kind of side skirt. Wouldn't be the side skirt plugs onto the top of the leg there. That's what that is. Okay. So then the problem would be the side skirt, isn't it? Yeah. So let me see here. I continue reading in the email. Maybe there's more about that. I cut both thigh parts in half and combined the upper half. Okay. Yeah, so that's what we're seeing here. It's the lower half of the original Muramasa kit and then the upper half from the Strike Freedom. Just kind of stuck on there. Let's see, in the lower half. But I need to check the design. Hang on, I'm going to pull this up on Dalong because I'm not really familiar with the kit enough. I just want to check because I believe, and Jeremy, you're here in the chat, so you can say, yeah, so that polycab there at the top of the leg that you're seeing is actually for plugging the side skirt onto there. So you have to make a new place to plug in the side skirt now, don't you? Let's see. Trying to find it on Dalong. It's not that one. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. HG Masa Astray. Oh, what is it? Oh, why am I looking Muramasa? It's Murasume, isn't it? So look at the wrong thing. Murasame? I had it wrong anyway. Anyway, yeah. You're working on the side skirts now. Okay, yeah. So anyway, James, sorry, confirmed that in the chat for us there. Yeah, so that's the next thing to work on. It should be relatively simple, though. I mean, you basically just need to make something here on the side where that side skirts could plug into that. What I would do is just make a thing like on this gold part here, and I'm not sure what you're working on, James. Maybe you're already kind of started, but if this idea helps you, I don't know. Here on the side of the gold part there, just build something with plot plate, just with a couple pieces of plot plate to stick on there. And it could be as simple as just like 2 square pieces of plot plate with a hole drilled in the center for basically housing the polycap. Because I'm guessing the polycap there has just like the 2 holes on the side, or 2 kind of circular bars on the side to be held in there. So it could be as simple as just making a 2 square pieces of plot plate with a hole in there to house the polycap, and then just stick that right onto the side of this gold part right there. Very simple. Wouldn't be like the prettiest thing, or you know, the most elaborate design. But if it's going to be hidden, it doesn't really matter. So I don't know how well they'll end up being hidden by the side skirt, but if it's mostly hidden, then you can kind of do something simple like that. It doesn't really matter. So let me just see here. For the wings, then just continuing on his email here about the wings over here. I had to make a hole in the wings to connect the C-clips, so I can paint the parts separately. More images for that was posted on Discord help, and finally, so far, I have made some mods to the head for ease of painting. Yes, so that would be, let's see, for the wings. So yes, had to just cut out this this joint here for painting that. So that would have been connected there, and you would have been unable to remove the part for painting. So in order to remove it for painting, you just cut that out. So yeah, nice. And the head. So you just modified, I'm guessing, just modified that to remove the faceplate so that you can paint that separately and then just stick it back up in there for painting. So yeah, cool. Doing that would hinder the thigh rotation. Yes. He's talking about my idea, my suggested idea for the thigh. Yes, gluing anything onto the side of this gold bar, yes, would hinder your thigh articulation. That's true. So, yes, that's the dilemma. But I wonder what the hip section looks like if you can make a new connection, which looks like maybe you're doing there. What am I looking at? Looks like you've got the side skirt kind of stuck on there, right? Oh, and then this one too. This is just showing off the improved articulation of the thigh. It's like this one, I'm guessing, is the stock leg, which because of the ball and socket joint can only go out to there, which is not very far. But now with the new parts from the Freedom, it can go all the way out to there. So yeah, very cool. Much better, definitely. I can see it looks like the, now that I can see it from this angle, it's kind of hard to tell from this angle, but seeing it from here, it looks like the Strike Freedom's thigh armor is wider. So you can see it's kind of wider and then kind of abruptly tapers down to the stray part, and looks a bit unnatural. So what I would recommend doing, James, is just put some putty on that. If you have some Tamiya, like a 2-part epoxy putty, just lay a layer of epoxy putty on the side of that, and then you can just file that down so that's just more of a kind of a natural line to go from down to the bottom of there. So basically you make the entire thigh the same thickness to match like at the top of there. I think would be nice. And always thicker thighs, you know. It's always nice. So yeah, that's what I would recommend. Some putty on that thigh if you got it. It doesn't have to be Tamiya. What's the one that is commonly used in America? I know a lot of people use this, but we don't have it here. What's it called? Shit, no, I can't remember the name. You guys know what I'm talking about. Ugh. That brand of epoxy putty that's coming. Someone help me out in the chat. Now that's bothering me. I can't think of the name. Milliput. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, Milliput. Yeah, we don't have that here, but I know a lot of people in the States use it. As far as I know, as far as I've heard from a lot of people, it's basically the same, you know, whether you use Tamiya or Milliput. They both work equally well. So whatever you can get your hands on, basically. So just at the end of the email here, he said a lot more needs to be done, including filling gaps and errors and a few more mods as well as the painting. But I see myself being able to finish the deadline. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think so far the modifications are definitely looking good so far. They just, like you said, they just need to be finished up, cleaned up, just some more, I would say, putty work, sanding work, some a little bit refining, maybe on the elbow joint as well too. But so far, I think the mods are looking good. So those would be my thoughts on that. As far as any other modifications that you could make to the design, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, just depends on what you want to do with it. So it's kind of hard to give any advice regarding that. because it just kind of depends if you really want to do more with certain parts of it or not. But I think it's going well so far. Chris says Milliput is terrible. Don't use what? All right, well, there you go. I would tend to believe you, Chris, but I mean I've also heard from other people that they said it's fine. So I don't know. Okay, well, all we have here is Tamiya, so I guess I'll just stick to that then. All right, so yeah, James, very cool. It's looking good. If there's anything else that you wanted to talk about this specifically, give us a shout. Otherwise, I mean, just we can talk about it later in the Discord, or you can hit me up or whatever. But it's looking good. It's a cool build, and yeah, I was looking for it on. I want to look again. I was looking for it on Dalong just for reference because I don't remember totally what the full kit looks like. I wanted to see, but I was having trouble finding it. Which series exactly is it from? Oh, there it is. HTC Destiny. Okay, I was thinking it was from one of the Astray series or something. Yes, looking at just the stock kit here on Dalong. Yeah. Fixing those elbow joints definitely would be a good one. It's got a very ugly box chest, doesn't it? The chest of it looks kind of pretty unsightly. Is it meant to like transform or something? It looks kind of reminds me a bit of like the Zeta chest, where it's just kind of meant to transform, or it does transform. That's why I'm seeing her. Yeah, I'm not really super familiar with this design. So I'm just trying to look at the pictures of the kit to jog my memory of it. Interesting transformation. The shield of it is very much similar to like the Zeta Plus shield, isn't it? Very similar. Interesting. All right, so yeah, very cool. Let's move on then. I think we had Greg's next. Greg, are you there? Let's see. Got James and then Clifford will be the last one for today. Let me put this on the screen and check out Greg's email. Got the Hazel here. This is the master grade Hazel custom, I believe. He said it's a work in progress on his clean build. I know you're not judging, so I send this to you. I am judging actually, Greg, but it's okay. I also have a Hurdudu that I'm doing up in the same colors. I also made a custom base. And starting the panel lining, need to clean up decals and top coats. The decal for the base was custom printed from inkjet and took me 3 tries. Yeah, he was talking about this in the Discord, that it took him a few tries to get the decal down. Yeah, that'd be tough for something that size, because that's a action base. So, I mean, that's a pretty good size decal there. For something that size, yeah, once you get up to that big, it's kind of tricky. You have to kind of make the, oh, you're there, right? Okay, good. You have to make the decision whether you want to try to put a huge decal down, which can be very difficult to do, or try to just paint it by masking, making a stencil and masking. I mean, that's a multi-layer stencil, so that would have also been pretty difficult. So I mean, either way you go, it's going to be tricky, not going to be easy to do. So that's a tough one. It came out looking great though. Looks very nice. Man, yeah. I mean, I guess if you had the digital version of this, you could separate it out into layers and you could just like print it off, like for each of the different layers, and you could make your separate stencil based off the printout. I mean, you could do it. And then you could paint like the gradient in there too, like that. I mean, you could paint all that, but certainly would be tricky. The decal does seem easier, but yeah, it would take you a few tries to get a decal that size to get on there flat and not have any bubbles or anything. And not break the decal and trying to get it into place with something that big. Yeah, certainly would be a tricky one. But let's see, this is the MG. Yeah. I had to question that for a minute because you were talking about the Hurdudu parts, and so I was wondering if you were talking about the HG for a second, but this is on the MG. And so he's saying basically it's kind of in the close to the finishing stages where it still needs decals and some panel line cleanup, so you can see like some of the panel lining's not cleaned up yet. But ignoring that, just the colors look nice. It's an interesting color of blue. What color is that for the blue, Greg? Clean voice for life. Yes, of course, clean. It's nice. It's a much lighter blue than kind of what you typically see for the Hazel, which that's one thing that as much as I love Advances Zeta, the dark blue on the Hazel always, I mean, it looks good, but I don't know, sometimes it can be a bit too dark because it's kind of a very stark contrast. Very white mobile suit for the most part, and then you got that very dark blue. But like too light blue, and it just also wouldn't look right either. So kind of a tricky one. This one is definitely brighter, but I wonder what color that is. He said he mixed his own color. He had some leftover from the goof. Okay, so mixed his own blue color. It's right on the verge of being a too bright, but I think it's still fine as is, and it's also going to depend on the lighting. If you have it in some very bright lighting, it's going to make that blue look even brighter, I think. But as it is, I think it still looks okay. Just like any other brighter, and then, but I mean, then I guess if you wanted it to look like not canon, but if you wanted to make your own like custom color for it and you went like a brighter blue, I think it could look cool, depending on how you want it to look. Let's see. JP there in the chat saying that he likes the baby blue color. I don't know if I would call it baby blue. Maybe it's because of the lighting, but I do see the rifle there in the background also in that blue color. That's pretty interesting. Are you planning on keeping that, Greg, and the rifle in that blue color like that? I know like on that kit, like it's molded in that dark blue color, right? It's going to darken when you put the flat coat on it. Yes, it could be. So yeah, on the original Master Grade, yeah, the rifle was molded in the same dark blue as like kind of the dark blue parts of the kit, but then it's only on the Hazel Onslaught kit, the one that just recently came out that I just recently reviewed, where they changed and made the beam rifle molded in gray instead of dark blue. And he said you still got to detail it. But still basically the main color of the beam rifle there is still going to be in that same blue color, right? You're just going to add some gray accents or something in there or something. It's an interesting choice for it to be mostly blue. I'm not sure I'm sold on it, but I'd have to see it kind of in use. When you have a gun or like a weapon like that that's in like a color, as in like not gray or silver or whatever, you know, metallic gunmetal kind of color or something like that. If it was like blue or green and pink or whatever, it's going to look very stylistic. Like the first thing that comes to mind is that pink P90. What's that character? Is it? It's not Sword Art Online, is it? Is it Sword Art Online? That has the pink rifle, pink machine gun. Is it Sword Art Online, or is that like Fate? Maybe it's a Fate character or something. Anyway, I don't know. We've just seen it around online. One of you guys will know in the chat, I'm sure. But something like that. Yeah, it looks good. I support the idea of just keeping it all white, not trying to add like Pikun Gungale. Gungale is? You guys are saying in the chat Gungale, so maybe that's what it is. Okay, I thought it was from something. I don't know what Gungale is. That doesn't sound familiar, but I'll take your guys' word for it. Oh. Oh, maybe that's the character's name, Gungale. Yeah, Steven said from Sword Art Online Alternative. Yeah, I thought it was Sword Art Online. Also, something that I'm not familiar with at all, but I just know the name. It's a Sword Art Online spinoff. Okay. All right, well, fair enough. Anyway, it reminds me of that. But yeah, I like it in all white, not trying to force like a two-tone white or something like that with like a off-white or a light gray or a light cream color or something like that. It looks like, as far as I can tell, it's just all white, which I think is fine. You don't always have to try to add in like multiple tones of white or something like that. It can look good, but I think I like this just as it is, all white like that. Especially if you're trying to go for the canon colors of the Hazel. Again, it's usually depicted as just all at one white or like that, right? So it's looking good. And just with it being work in progress, it's kind of hard to say, anything too much more in detail. But if you still got, it's all bone white except for the color. Yeah, the white color looks good. Yes, and it is a work in progress. Let's see. Gunpla Junkie. Let me see what you said. I missed the beginning of the show. This is a cleanup. Yeah, this is for his entry for the contest. Yes, and it is a work in progress still. Yes, to answer your questions. Yeah, and I want to see the Hurudu parts because you said you still have the rest of the Hurudu parts that you're doing up in the same color as yeah. So just going forward, Greg, I think the colors and everything are looking good. I would just say, just make sure you got a nice pose for it. This kit, and especially with the Hurudu parts on there, can be kind of tricky to pose. But with the help of the action base, it should definitely make that a little bit easier. Are you planning on having it up or standing or up on the action base? Or are you just using the action base to hold up the Hurudu parts on the back? Because of how heavy the legs are, this kit, especially once they're painted, I'm sure they're even heavier. But because of the legs and the hip joints for this, the legs have some serious weight issues with them. So when you're trying to do like aerial poses up on action base with this kit, it can be tricky because the legs are so heavy. They just tend to sink down. Standing and using, okay, yeah, so he said he's just gonna have it standing and use the action base to hold up the Hurudu. So yeah, sounds good. That's what I would recommend with that. So I think that'll end up looking fine. That'll look good. Just make sure you got the good, power stance, wide stance, have the arms good and all that. And should look very cool. Yeah. It's look good. It's looking good. I see you painted the red on the fingers. How did you paint that red? It's kind of hard to tell from these if it looks very bright. But Greg, how did you paint the red on there? Is that just painted red right on top of the gray, or did you put like a layer of white or something before that? Because what I would recommend is either painting the red first, in which case, like for that hand part, it would be paint the entire part white, then red, and mask the tips, and then gray. Or if you paint it gray first, paint it gray, and then for the red tips, paint some white first, and then red. Anyway, white under the red to make sure that the red is very bright. White or pink, if you're using pink primer. The paint is right on top of the gray. I didn't want it too bright. Oh, okay. Well, if you didn't want it too bright, then that's fine. Because it's kind of shadow in the pictures, I can't tell how bright it is, and it doesn't look that bright. So I was thinking that the gray is probably just, or the red is probably right on top of the gray. So apparently that's correct. So yeah, if you don't want it too bright, then there you go. But just for anyone else out there, if you were painting this kit or a similar kit or something, if you did want to make sure that that red was nice and bright, just make sure that you put some white underneath it. If you're painting red right on top of a dark gray, it won't end up being very bright usually. Or you just have to put a ton of red paint on there, which is also not going to look good. So anyway, yeah, if that's the plan, then there you go. That works. All right. Yeah, looking good, Greg. Thank you, as always. And then that means we've just got Clifford's left here. Let me go ahead and pull that up. And I think that's it, right? Yeah, just let me check, make sure I didn't miss anything. I think that's good. And I'm not sure if Clifford's in the chat or not. I don't think I've seen him there. But let me get this opened up. Here. He's working on a Devil Gundam, which is fitting based on my April Fool's video yesterday. You guys are talking about the April Fool's video. Yes. Yeah, just to reiterate, I talked about this earlier in the stream, but just to reiterate, if you guys didn't know, the news video yesterday was entirely fake. It's just all April Fools, so sorry. I realize just as I've been very much enjoying reading the comments on that video, but also realizing that a lot of people didn't realize it was a joke. So I felt a little bit bad about that, but they'll figure it out eventually. What will be really most interesting is to see which of those kits do end up actually getting announced within the next year or so. Because what I tried to do for that video was to I tried to make them all like actual like plausible options. I think probably like the HG Devil Gundam is probably the most implausible among them, but the rest of them are possible. So it'd be interesting to see if any of those do actually get announced within like the next year or so. We can go back to that video and have a good laugh. Like HG Virgo, it's totally possible, especially after and someone commented saying that the runners for the Mercurius and the V8 indicate that they could also be used for a Virgo as well too. So I haven't seen any actual images of that. I just know of that based on what someone commented. But I do have that Mercurius and V8 set coming in. I think that's in the mail currently, actually. So once I get that kit in, I'll check the runners to see for myself if I think that those could be used for the Virgo as well too. But possibly. I mean, it makes sense. I just haven't been able to see it for myself to confirm it. But and also like the Exia 2.0 also I think is totally possible. I kind of have my doubts as to if I think Bandai will actually do it, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if they did. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at Clifford's work here. He said he's working on the Devil Gundam and currently working on cleaning up seams. I've got the right shoulder Devil Claw to finish building, and I'm thinking about the paint scheme similar to the newer Stormbringer kit. Oh, interesting. So you're not gonna, Clifford is not going to have the original color scheme, but going to change the color scheme to like the dark green of like the Stormbringer. That'd be interesting. But he's got some really cool work going on here for this. You can see a lot of plot plate work, basically rebuilding the Gundam head there, like the lower part of it, quite a bit. And here for the shoulders, looks like tank tread parts, kind of adding into the shoulder section there. Just trying to see, yeah, rebuilding like a lot of the Gundam face there with the pieces of plot plate and piece of plot plate on the side of there. Very interesting. What does it remind me of? It reminds me of like the Gundam Thunderbolt head, right? This FG Double Gundam secret size is 1/44 scale. Yes, Adi, to answer your question, it's 1/44 scale. December Black, thank you for the super chat there over there on YouTube. Also, Danjo, I don't know if you're still here or not, but very early on in the stream, while I was still figuring out the audio issues, Danjo also did a super chat. Also, thank you as always for that. And he in his comment, he also mentioned that it was not a live stream and a live build because he usually donates every time I do live builds. But just on a side note, I'm very sorry, guys. I haven't done any live builds for a few weeks, so I'm thinking about that. And I've got a couple of kits here that I think will be good for live builds. So I promise I'll do some more live builds in the very near future. I'll try to do at least one next week because I know I haven't done one in a while. But anyway, getting back to December Black's comment here, he said, longtime fan, 34-year-old man, child. That's okay. You and USA Gundam are amazing and inspiring. Well, thank you. Thank you for the help on how to build and paint. My wife loves you more for helping me finish my backlog. Well, as a fellow husband, I understand that. So you're welcome. I'm glad to hear it. 34 years old. I had to think about that. I'm 33 now, so not too far off. All right. Anyway, so yeah, Clifford also submitted his bond doc here, which we'll come back to that in a second. So I just want to look at these. It's kind of hard to get a good grasp of what he's working on so far at the moment on the Devil Gundam. I think there's one more picture. Here it is. It's looking cool so far. I mean, but you can still see it's like still very much in the work in progress stage, so it's kind of hard to get a good sense of it at this point. But so far it's looking cool, and I like that it's set up on the base there with the hoses there in the background. It's very fitting to the designs, looking very cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to look as it's coming along. But I think it's looking great so far. Rebuilding the face there, it's looking really nice. So obviously that still needs a lot of work, just cleaning everything up, but so far it's looking good. And the parts added onto the side. The nice thing about the Devil Gundam in general is that, you know, if some of these parts and things on there are not super cleaned up really nicely, I mean, it kind of fits the design. The Devil Gundam, just like design in the anime, it's super like rough and kind of organic in the shapes. It's not like a super clean, like straight out of the factory Gundam, right? So if you have like some rough bits here and there, I mean, you can kind of hide all that in the weathering, and it just kind of fits in with the Devil Gundam's design. So depending on what you're planning on doing with it, if you wanted to make it like super dirty, kind of grungy into that, I'm just trying to think like what's the aesthetic of that. It's kind of like Giger, or kind of like Akira, kind of a mixing, what's that called, where like you're kind of mixing organic and mechanical kind of aspects together. So with that aesthetic, you can hide a lot of that roughness in just the design and the weathering and everything. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, it is looking very cool. So that'll be nice. The feet aspects, which are kind of typically plugged into the back there, I'm noticing are missing. So no, I'm wondering if he's going to be adding those back in later. But and also looks like he modified the joints there. Those look like the elbow joint looks like an IBO joint, but the shoulder looks like it's also an IBO joint. So maybe those are IBO, HG IBO parts there for the new joints in the elbow and the shoulder. And new hands there obviously as well too. Those are Kotobukiya hands, just frame arm hands. Those look good as well too. Much better than, of course, the hands that the stock kit has. But let's see. Also, he's working on the Bond doc, and he said he got inspired after seeing my build, and then he's going to swap the claws for the Zigok parts. I would need to wait anyway on new neck parts because I melted the last set. Oops. Let's see the new neck parts. Biomechanical, Chris said, yeah, biomechanical. I guess so. That's right. So new neck parts. He melted neck parts. I'm not sure which parts he's talking about got melted. But yeah, it looks like he's also kind of going for kind of inspired by the, what's it, Dragon's Heaven? Is that the name of the anime that this was based off of? Right? Dragon's Heaven? And now I forget the name of it. It's not called Bondoc in that, it's called something different, but with all the stuff going out underneath there, it's looking cool. And this one as well too, I like this. Kind of gives a little bit kind of organic look to the mechanical parts by having a lot of like asymmetry. Adding these parts on there, just kind of asymmetrical and random in their placement, gives a little bit of an organic look to completely mechanical design. Right? all these tubing bits and stuff. Yeah, so very much based off of that. Let's see. JP there in the chat said, fun fact, the English voice actor of Demon Kashu, after taking the role, retired from voice acting and became a successful doctor. That's funny. Interesting. I always thought the English voice acting for G Gundam especially was quite good, in my opinion. I think it's pretty good. But yeah, I'm liking how this is looking so far. What now? It's bothering me. What's the name of that? Dragons Heaven. What's the name of the that thing? Here's a picture of it, but I can't remember the name of it. It's something. Come on. I'm waiting for you guys in the chat to help me out with that. What is it called? I'm looking for it here. I don't know. Something anyway. Someone will know. If you guys, I'm not gonna give up. Dog. The GAMP. That's what it is. Thank you. All right. You guys are slow. The GAMP. Yes. It's not called Bondoc. It's called GAMP. Or I'm not sure if that's the correct pronunciation of that, but anyway, that's what it looks like, how it's pronounced. So yeah, basically like that design has this. Yeah, it doesn't have like the big frill out the back of the head like this, and also has this kind of arm connection, how it's on this like big ring there, kind of thing like that. So, and then on the bottom side, it's also like that. It has like one kind of big kind of stabilizer looking part, and then a bunch of these little things out the bottom. So it's looking very cool. I like it. Kind of. So not totally like trying, as far as I can tell here, he's not trying to make it like totally 100% like the GAMP, but kind of like in between. And I like these little bits added down here along the edge of that. These trusses, what would you call it? Kind of buttresses here along the bottom edge of that skirt. Those are nice. I mean, all these added little bits, like the little fins added onto the side of here as well too. It's nice little bits added onto there. It's looking quite interesting. All those parts. I like the square vents added on the front of the chest there. Looks very familiar. That's cool. Yeah. And this shoulder armor here, missing the big part you can see here. That part. So I don't know if in these pictures, if that's just left off intentionally and he's planning on like adding that back in some way or not, but it looks like maybe he's just planning on just having that part omitted. I think it looks kind of cool. Shoulder armor like that. It's very simple. But yeah, again, so far it's looking cool. I don't know if that's a LED added in the eye or if it's just light shining in from the light in the background. Either way, it's looking cool. And I don't think it's a LED added in there. I think it's just catching the light. But yeah, so far looking good. Yeah, both of those Clipper, I'd say, are looking good so far. I'm interested to see how they're coming along as they're getting finished up. So hopefully maybe in next month's episode, we can see those again in their finished state or closer to being finished. We'll see. Depends on when it is. But some cool builds there. And that is going to be it for today, guys. So yes, again, the Clean vs. Weathered contest is still going on. You guys still have a month. So even if you've not started anything yet, you still have plenty of time to finish something if you still would like to enter. Got a bunch of entries, but only a few finished ones have come in so far, but I'm sure we'll see a lot more over the next couple weeks. Anyway, good morning. And good way to start off the morning, looking at some cool stuff. So thank you to all you guys who submitted. And again, if any of you guys are interested in submitting for future episodes, you can check out the link to my Patreon down below. It's a perk for my Patreon supporters doing these critique videos. So always interesting. And then the other perk is that we have a Patreon only Discord server as well too, that we're all on there, and all the guys are also all sharing stuff on there as well too, and just hanging out. It's great Discord, I think. I don't really spend much time on Discords. I'm also in a few other different servers, and I don't really use Discord that much, but I do try to pop into my own as much as possible and chat with the guys there, and it's a good time. So if you guys are interested in joining, just check out my Patreon page down there. It's a good little community there, and easy to get in touch with me, but easy to get in touch with me any other way too. If you guys ever want to just chat with me, just send a message on my Facebook or Instagram, whatever. I'm available there as well too, to hang out. So that's gonna be it for today, guys. I actually might see you live again later today. Josh and I'm waiting to hear back from Josh if he's free this afternoon to do an episode of Plamo No Trend. But if not today, then it'll be next week. I'll be live with Josh for a new episode of Plamo No Trend, and then like I said, I'll try to do at least one live build next week with you guys as well too. While you're here, maybe I'll just ask you guys, what would you like to see for the live build? I'll give you a couple choices, and you guys can just vote on it right now. So let's see. I got the new L game kit. Need to build that. There's an option. Or the Hazel. The name on this kit is completely ridiculous. So Gundam TR1 Hazel Ocelot Next Generation Mass Production Type / Combat Deployment Colors Advances Zeta the Flag of Titans is the full name on that. Look at that wall of text. It's crazy. And let me give you one other option. What'll be good? This one? This has been here in my... So it's been in the queue. Well, not that. This has been in the queue for ages. I need to get around to finally building this. The X-Career. It would be interesting to build live, seeing as how it's not your typical kit. So, what would you guys like to see? X-Career, which will be hard to vote for because you guys may also not know how to spell that. EXCRER. Or Hazel Ocelot HG. Or L game. I'll probably end up streaming all of them at some point, but which would you guys be interested in seeing? Let's see, some votes coming in there. People said Hazel, X-Career. Down for anything? Well, down for anything, that's not helpful. Also got this guy as well too, which I could do a live stream build, but it would be a very short one. Maybe I'll do like an SD, because I've got a couple of SD kits here in the queue as well. These, maybe like an SD build stream where I just build like 3 kits all at once. Got the Cassie and the Camphor and the Aquarius. So maybe do like a SD build stream where I just build all 3 of those, because they won't take that much time to build, right? Let's see, Hazel, L game, X-Career, kind of a mix of votes there. Nothing really too definitive as far as your guys voting on that. So, but it appears, it looks like probably the Hazel got the most votes. So I guess we'll do Hazel. That's also, I would feel, kind of the least interesting, because it's mostly just kind of the regular Hazel kits. Not that much new on that kit, but everybody loves Advanced Zeta, so why not? I'm seeing quite a few votes there for the X-Career as well, though, too. So probably, like I said, I probably will end up building all of those live. So we'll see. All right, the thing that I'm currently building at the moment, as far as like just like snap building for the next review, is the Magatsuki frame arms girl kit. So that'll be the next thing. Though I did also review, where the boxes go? There in the other room. Um, Actually, the next reviews that you guys will see will be the Moderoid Paddleboard kits, the Ingram and Bulldog set, and then the Helldiver. So those are already built and reviewed. I just need to edit and post those. Will be the next couple of videos you guys will see. Then after that, the Frame Arms Magatsuki kit, and then one of these that we're talking about. So that's what's coming up in the near future. But for now, guys, thanks for hanging out and have a good rest of the day. If I don't see you this afternoon with Josh, then have a good weekend. And I'll see you guys all next week. So bye-bye. See you later.